so funny. This morning, I really needed a moment. And I thought, oh, good, that won't happen tonight. But I still need a moment. So, there's a line in the song that says, let me be your work of art. Now, I consider myself an artist. I've been in the arts for a very long time. And coming up with this theme this month, the reason I've come up with this theme this month is because many of you have asked me, what does this thing mean, love only? You know, you need to address that at some point. And so I chose to address it this month. And, you know, when I picked it, you know, I had to think about it and go, so what is that going to mean for all of us? And what is it to love only? And then I hear this song, and I'm listening to this song, and I get that line, work of art. You know, I mean, I have succeeded at anything I have decided to really put my mind to. I consider myself a great success. If I want something, I get it. If I want to succeed at something, I succeed at it. That's just who I am. I have always been that. And even if it looks like I have failed, I work around it. Anybody else? Yeah, so, however, there is something that I actually do fail at, and that is love only. I fail at that sometimes. I'm sure you do too. Because it's not easy. It's just not easy to love only. There's so many other options. Aren't there? Anger, being pissed off. I can judge. That's a fun one. Because if we judge everybody, clearly we're fine. There's so many things we can do instead of love only. Because most of the time, love only is the harder choice. It's just harder. I could sit there and just, talk this out with someone and, tell them my point of view, see it my way. This is how I do it, But no, to love only means I allow you that. Okay, I see that's your way. I don't even have to end with, but that's not how I choose to see it. How many of you say that? Yeah. Or let's just agree to disagree. Subtext, you're wrong. Right? But love only means I hear you, I respect you. I'm not even going to defend it. That's it. So coming from that is a little different. And I have to really admit that I fail at that sometimes. Less and less, but I do fail at that sometimes. And that's why I want this month to be an opportunity for us to really step into this from an uncomfortable place of saying, you know what, I'm going to really try this. I'm going to do this no matter what. Being in the arts and having been an actor, all of the, how many of you have had any failure in your life? Right, we've all had failure in our life. How do we deal with that failure? As an actor, you deal with so much rejection, And that rejection, I think, causes us to become hard, thick-skinned, not letting anything in. You're not going to, I know who I am. That's not what it's really about. It's getting rid of the thick skin and being willing to stand there vulnerable and love only from that perspective. So I want to start with this idea of understanding what love is. Because I think we have we're a little confused. Most of us think of love and we think romantic love. We think of this whole Valentine's Day idea of love. And that's not really what love is. Love is an energy. Love is a life force. Love is the very essence of your being. It's not an emotion. It's not a feeling. I'm feeling love. No, you're not really feeling love. You are allowing love to feel you. You are allowing the truth of you to come out. Do you feel it? Yes. Are you feeling love? No, you're feeling yourself. You're feeling the audacious authenticity of who you are. That's what love is. So it's an energy. So if you're willing this month, I have 3 directives for us this month. The first one is to work our minds in such a way that we literally shift our paradigm about what love is. So that when we're really talking love only, we understand what we're saying. That there is this energy, this thing that love is, and we're willing to allow it into our lives. But that does mean, if you're going to do that, you have to be willing to not engage in all the other stuff. An entire month of not engaging in the judgments, not engaging in being right. For some of us, that's difficult. Not engaging in all the stuff that gets in the way of you allowing your authentic self to come out. So I want to read you something that Ernest Holmes wrote. He said this: "The great love of the universe must be one with the great law of its own being, and we approach love through law." Let me read this again, since I saw a bunch of people going, what? The great love of the universe, basically that just means the energy of the universe that you are, must be one with the great law of the universe, the law of its own being, and we must approach love through law. Now, here's the thing about the Science of Mind. The Science of Mind, the book, was first called The Science of Mind and Spirit. It wasn't just the science of mind. And I fear that one of the things that has happened over these years is that the science of mind has become this mental thing of how to get. I'm going to get this. I'm going to get this. And it's so funny because, you know, when I was on Broadway, when I was in New York in your earlier years, I really wanted to be in chorus line. I saw the workshop down at the Public Theater, and I was like, oh my God. Chorus line changed the face of Broadway musicals forever. After a chorus line, you didn't need sets. You didn't need anything. You could do anything. All cards were off the table. You could do anything you wanted after a chorus line. So everybody wanted to be in a chorus line. Well, in order to be in chorus line, I thought I needed to become a Buddhist. And they were called the Broadway Buddhists. And everybody in a chorus line was a Broadway Buddhist because Michael Bennett was a Buddhist. Nick Dante was a Buddhist, and Marvin Hamlish at the time was a Buddhist. So I figured, I'm going to go to those, right, Bob? I'm going to go to those Buddhist meetings, even though I go to Mass every Sunday. I'm going to go to those Buddhist meetings and start chanting. I'll meet the right people. I hate to tell on myself this way, but that's the truth. So I went to those meetings and I started chanting. Nam Myoho Renge Kyo, Nam Myoho Renge. But about, a few weeks into it, I'm like, oh my God, this feels really good. This is really, I have no idea what I'm saying, but this feels really good, especially when you got to the fast stuff. What are you saying? I don't know. But it felt really good. But here's what happened. That philosophy, that religion, westernized on Broadway at the time, turned into Nam Myoho Renge Kyo, get me a new car, oh, I want that part in that show. It was all about, what am I going to get? How am I going to get it? How am I going to get it? Well, I think the same thing happens with science of mind. Think about it. They got rid of the word and spirit. Why do you think that happened? It was a marketing ploy. Let's get rid of anything religious spirit. It's just science of mind. You can get this done. It's your mind. Create your thinking, change your life. That's what it's all about, except it's not. And why do you think science of mind isn't like the biggest thing on the globe? Because people have tried it, and it didn't work. It's like change your thinking, change your life. I changed my thinking. Nothing happened. Clearly you didn't change your thinking, and clearly nothing happened. It's not about changing your thinking, change your life. It's about remembering who you are. It's about understanding that you are love. You are the creative essence of the universe. And from that creative essence, you don't need to get anything, for you already are everything. And if you desire an experience, you speak your word, and the law of life demonstrates it for you. That's how it works. Love and law together as one thing. It's inherent in the desire. When you have a desire, it's because there's something in you that is just pushing up through you that knows you, really knows who you are. When you desire something that seems out of your reach, it is not out of your reach. It's out of your mental reach. Period. That's all it is. Because if it's pushing itself up through you, everything necessary for it is inherent in that desire as it's pushing. And the law makes it happen. What happens is we put everything else in the way of it. Yeah, but I don't have this. Yeah, but that's not going to happen. Yeah, but blah, blah, blah. All that yeah, but crap. But when you're just coming from love only, and you just recognize who you are and these desires are yours to have, then everything is on your doorstep. Everything is there. But it's not about going after it. It's about being it. That's the mental equivalent. So he goes on to say, this then is the teaching, love and law. As the love of God is perfect, so the law of God is also perfect. We must understand both, Ernest Holmes says. Now, he said this in 1927. So somewhere between 1927 and 2017, I think we forgot that. I think we forgot the idea that love is equally as important as law. So much so that love supersedes the law because it is the first thing that comes forward. The law manifests it. And I am in the best stance right now. I feel like I'm like Bob Fosse. The law. So there's the love, and as it comes forward, the law says, gotcha. Wouldn't you like that to happen in your life? The minute your desire comes out and you say, yes, I am the love of the universe, and here it goes, and the law says, gotcha, and it's done. All that angst and complaining and worrying and, oh my God, all that, gone. That's what you get to do this month. He also says, love is at the center of man's being, and calm, continuous pulsations of life are governed by love. Listen to that. Love is at the center of man's being. The calm, continuous pulsations of life are governed by love. So that's number one. A first directive is for you to spend this month changing your concept of what love is. Taking that paradigm and crossing it. Make that paradigm shift. Step away from thinking love is something you have to find. Love is something you have to feel. Love is who you are. It's what you are. Okay? Number two, from that idea, from that concept, I'm going to suggest that you spend this month loving what you do. Everything. Loving what you do. Whether you are taking out the trash, washing the dishes. Who said that? Somebody went, oh God. Hiring a maid to do all that. Doesn't matter what it is, loving what you do. Because I have to tell you, one of the biggest epidemics on this planet is that too many people are doing what they don't love. Now notice, that doesn't mean you have to change what you're doing. You merely have to love what you're doing. And if you don't love what you're doing, don't do it. Find a way to love it. I happen to love taking the trash out. I do. I love decluttering my house. I love on the Tuesday night before the Wednesday morning, taking all that trash and taking it out, and it's usually late at night and it's pretty out there. I've made it a great experience in my life. I love washing the dishes. It's very zen. I just enjoy. Anybody else like washing dishes? Yeah. I don't get a chance to wash dishes much because Kevin also loves to wash dishes. And before I'm barely done eating, they're washed and put away. But I do love to, I know, wouldn't you like to marry him? I can hear all you going, I'll have him. Right? So washing dishes. I also love cooking. I love doing laundry. I love ironing. Oh my God, I love ironing. How many people love ironing? How many people hate ironing? Just send them, don't. I've got a very busy life, but I love ironing. I do. So, but the other part is, are you doing what you love in your life in terms of your creative expression? Are you really finding the time to do what you love? Someone asked me, I think it was yesterday, the day before, said, how are you holding up with having these two churches now? You have a lot more to do. And I was surprised at the way the question was posed. How are you holding up? First I went, why do I look like... My hair seems fine. And I knew what they were projecting onto me what it would have felt like for them to do this. But I love doing this. I absolutely love it. I don't consider Sundays, they go, oh God, Sunday is a 2-show day. Really exhausting. First of all, any actor knows we have two show days a week, Wednesdays and Saturdays. Mine just happens to be Sunday. I love what I do. I love that I get to be the person that stands up here and does everything I can think of to remind you who you are. That's the only reason I'm up here, to remind you who you are. Because you know what happens? When I remind you who you are, I remember it. I mean, that really is it. That's such a gift to me, reminding you and remembering myself. So love what you do. This whole month, if you find yourself not loving something, your job is to turn that around. And trust me, you can do it. You really can do it. Because the minute you realize you don't love it, and you know you've made a commitment, an intention, you've decided to love what you do, you'll turn it around. Or you'll figure out another way to do it. Or you'll figure out a way for someone else to do it so you don't have to do it anymore. That could be the reason to do this exercise. So love what you do. Now, not just loving what you do, but living love in what we do. That's the thing. Can we live love? Can we really live? I live from love. I live my life from love all the time. Not from drive, not from trying, not from creativity, not from anything other than love. Creativity is inherent in that. Can we really commit to doing that? And then the third part of this, loving who you are. I mean, loving yourself no matter what. How many of you have a history? How many of you have a history that you don't maybe want to talk about sometimes? In fact, you're not even raising your hands. It's perfect. How many of you have things in your life that you wish you hadn't done? Raise your hands. I know who you are. We all do. We all have things. It's funny, when I did my show, Sissy Boy, and somebody said to me, were you really a stripper? I was like, yeah. And I remember feeling their embarrassment for me. But I wasn't embarrassed. I had a body good enough to be a stripper. I was like, yeah, I was a stripper. But I mean, a classy one, you know. Now, the thing is, I'm not afraid to talk about that from here. As a minister, as a doctor of consciousness studies, right here, I can say I was a stripper. Because guess what? If for some reason I had to keep that under a rock and I was ashamed of that, that creates my life. That little thing would create my life. So whatever it is that's back there, you must come to terms with it. You must love it and love yourself. And if you look in the mirror and there's something you see that you don't like, really get over it, Blanche. Get over that. That was Dr. Walker, just funneled through me. Get over it. There should be nothing you ever look at that you don't love. Now, here's the thing about love, because you might be saying to yourself, well, wait a minute, there are things I don't like, so I'd like to change. That's fine. Can you still love yourself in the midst of the change? Yes. You can look at yourself and say, oh, wow, I would like to change this about myself. I'm going to do that. Change my hair color. I'm not going to do that. But you might. Change my hair color. Go on a diet. Lose some weight. I'm not going to do that. You might do that. Whatever it is. The love portion does not leave the table just because something comes up that you don't like about yourself. You can still not like something about yourself and still love yourself. And that goes for other people too. You cannot like things about other people and still love them. That's where this love only is really going to come into play for you all this month, especially with the people that you have difficulty with. If any of you have difficulty with any people, we must love them no matter what. It's not an option, because in our withholding love, it's like we're literally getting clogged. When we withhold love, especially when we withhold love from ourselves, we are clogging ourselves. If love is an energy and love is this thing that is just driving through me, what happens when I clog it up? Where's it going to go? Well, disease. It's going to go into disease. It's going to go into lack. It's going to go into blocks, creative blocks. You know what a creative block is? When you have a creative block of any kind, all it is you have literally blocked love from flowing through your life. That's all it is. Because when you are in tune, and you all know this, you writers out there and actors and singers and dancers and whatever you are, we are all artists. When you are in the flow and you're letting and feeling that thing come through you, it just flies through you. It just flies through you. I've written songs in like a nanosecond because I'm so in tune. And then I've written songs that have taken months because I'm literally blocked. Because I'm more interested in writing the perfect song. Any type A's out here? I have in the past been more interested in writing the perfect song than letting a song write through me. Now, I just kind of let them flow through me. I just let life flow through. I live from love and I love my life. So, 3 parts. 1, you're going to deal with your idea of what love is. You're going to change that paradigm. 2nd one, you are going to love what you do. Got that? And then you're going to love who you are and love every single person in that periphery. So I want to close with a quote from Leo Buscaglia. Do you all remember Leo Buscaglia? Who doesn't remember him? Oh, really? Nada, I'll tell you all about him later. Leo Buscaglia. Well, he taught a course. Apparently, he was a professor, and someone committed suicide at USC. He was a professor at USC. This is back in the 60s. 1960s. And it was someone he knew, and all of a sudden he became very interested in why does that happen? What happens in people that cause them to want to leave the planet? And he got very involved in teaching this course called Love 101. And it was all about just loving yourself. So his very first book, does anybody remember what his very first book was called? Yes. Did you read it? Big impression. So it was called Love. And I remember it was like 1972. I think it was my senior year of high school when someone handed me that book and I read it. And literally, I remember just sitting there sobbing. You know, I grew up in a family. I had an alcoholic mother. I had an alcoholic father. I had a lot of stuff going on. I ended up running the family, doing the cooking, doing the cleaning, which is probably why I love it today. So I got to thank her. But I don't have any anxiety or any hidden or forgotten anything about my parents. I love them, both of them. You know, at the end of, my mom died of cancer, a horrible death, while I was in college, and then my father just looked at me and said, "You need to leave." Not like get out of my house. It was like, you need to leave. Because if you stay here, you will wind up here, stuck here. You'll end up taking care of the whole family, and you will never do what you're here to do. And I didn't have a great relationship with my father, by the way. So this was like, who are you? And why are you telling me this? But he did. And he put me on a train, Amtrak train to New York City, and I never looked back. And my life just took off. And he was absolutely right. So I can look back and say, yeah, I can point, and this is the other thing, I can point at all the crap that happened in my childhood. Or I can point to that moment. What are you going to choose? Are you going to choose love only? To notice when you were loved? Notice when you were loved. Notice this month as you are being loved. When someone walks past you and smiles, you are being loved. When someone tells you not to hug them, you are being loved from their point of view. Really. And that's just so that she doesn't have to scream at you next time. That's loving. We can look at it that way. So start noticing when you're being loved. So Leo Buscaglia's quote is this: if one wishes to know love, one must live love in action. If one wishes to know love, one must live love in action. So I'm going to ask you to take action this month, not just listen, not just hear the words. We are not here to hear and understand everything Ernest Holmes said or wrote or any of the great mystics. I can talk about Troward and Emerson and Walt Whitman and Jesus of Nazareth. I can talk about all of that till the cows come home. But if I'm not living it, why bother? So this month, love only. That's why I picked it. I know when I first picked it, it was challenging to me. I was like, well, I love the whole love only, forgive everything, remember who you are. But when people started questioning me and saying, how do you do that? I had to say, how do you do that? And then I had to cop to the fact that I don't do that all the time. And the title of my talk today, could you imagine if I just started now? The title of my talk today is Love Only, Why Not? And you know what the answer to that is? It's love only, why not? Because the alternative is something that you should be tired of living. A life with so many variables, so many possibilities for things to go wrong, so many possibilities to be annoyed or disturbed throughout your life, that if you just start with love only, end with love only, and fill it in during the middle of your day, and only live love only, I guarantee you at the end of this month, you will be exhausted, but you will also be so free. You will be on a cloud. I guarantee you, if you really take this directive this month and live it, your life will change and you will never want to go back to that other way of living. Namaste.